Why do so many of us spend our entire lives working, only to find ourselves unprepared for the one thing we've been working towards all along? It's a question that haunts the modern professional, a paradox hidden in plain sight. We meticulously plan our careers, our vacations, our next big purchase, but when it comes to the final, longest vacation of our lives, retirement, we often leave it to chance. What if the key to a secure future isn't a last-minute scramble, but a journey started decades earlier? What if the secret to a comfortable retirement lies not in the final years of your career, but in the very beginning? Let's step into the life of Michael. At 25, Michael was just like any other ambitious graduate. He landed a decent job in marketing, moved into a small apartment in the city, and embraced the rhythm of adult life. His paycheck felt like a fortune, a ticket to everything he'd ever wanted. Weekend trips with friends, the latest tech gadgets, dinners at trendy restaurants. His income was a revolving door, flowing in and immediately flowing back out. Retirement? That was a concept for his parents, a distant, foggy shore he couldn't even see from where he stood. His company offered a 401k plan, and during his onboarding, a friendly HR representative had explained the benefits of contributing. Michael listened politely, nodded, but in his mind, the numbers were abstract. Why would he lock away his hard-earned money for a future that was 40 years away? The present was calling, and it was loud, exciting, and demanded his full financial attention. He had a conversation with his colleague, Sarah, who was the same age. "Are you putting anything into your 401k?" she asked one day over lunch. Michael shrugged. "Not really. I need the cash now. I'll start in a few years when I get a raise." Sarah, on the other hand, had a different perspective. "My grandfather told me that time is the most valuable asset you have," she said. He started saving with his very first paycheck, just a little bit. Said it was like planting a tree. You don't see much at first, but one day you wake up and you have a whole forest. Michael smiled but dismissed the advice. A forest seemed less appealing than a new gaming console right now. He had time. Or so he thought. Years flew by. Michael got the raises he expected. He moved to a bigger apartment, bought a nicer car, and upgraded his lifestyle at every turn. His income grew, but so did his expenses, a phenomenon economists called lifestyle creep. At 35, he met his wife, and soon they were planning a wedding, a down payment on a house, and then the arrival of their first child. Each new milestone came with a new financial demand. The 401k remained an afterthought. A box he promised to check next year? He was making good money. Surely it would all work out in the end. He reasoned that once the kids were older and the mortgage was more manageable, he would get serious about saving. He would just have to contribute more later to make up for lost time. Meanwhile, Sarah's small, consistent contributions were quietly working in the background. The small tree she planted at 25 was no longer a sapling. Thanks to the magic of compound interest, her initial investments were not just growing, they were generating their own earnings, which in turn generated even more earnings. It was a snowball effect, rolling downhill, getting bigger and faster with each passing year. All while she lived her life, paid her bills, and enjoyed her present just as Michael did. She didn't feel deprived. She had simply made her future a non-negotiable part of her monthly budget, a bill she paid to her future self. The wake-up call for Michael came on his 45th birthday. His company held a retirement seminar, and for the first time, Michael paid attention. The financial advisor presented a stark chart. It showed two investors. Investor A started at age 25, saved $5,000 a year for just 10 years, and then stopped completely. Investor B started at age 35 and saved $5,000 a year for 30 years, right up until retirement at age 65. The result was shocking. Despite investing for a third of the time, investor, the early starter, ended up with a significantly larger nest egg. The reason was simple. The 10 extra years of compounding that investor A's money had were far more powerful than the extra 20 years of contributions investor B made. Michael felt a cold knot tighten in his stomach. He was investor B. He had let 20 years slip by. He went home and finally, for the first time, ran the numbers. He looked at his current expenses, his desired lifestyle, the travel he and his wife dreamed of, the hobbies he wanted to pursue, the ability to help his children without being a burden, and he compared it to what he could realistically save in the 20 years he had left. The math was brutal. To catch up to where Sarah likely was, he would need to save a crippling percentage of his income, an amount that would mean drastic, painful cuts to his current lifestyle. The freedom he thought he was buying in his 20s had come at a steep price. The freedom of his 60s and 70s. The choice he made to prioritize the immediate over the important had created a financial chasm that now seemed almost impossible to cross. He had traded a molehill of disciplined saving in his youth for a mountain of frantic sacrifice in his middle age. Planning for retirement early is not about deprivation, it's about empowerment. It is the single most effective strategy to ensure you have saved enough to maintain and even enhance your desired lifestyle after you stop working. The fundamental principle at play is the immense power of compound interest, which Albert Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world. When you start saving in your 20s, even small, seemingly insignificant amounts have an extraordinary amount of time to grow. Each dollar you invest is like a tiny employee working for you, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over 40 years, that dollar doesn't just earn returns. Its returns start earning their own returns, creating an exponential growth curve that is impossible to replicate with brute force saving later in life. Think of it as a marathon. A person who starts early can set a comfortable, sustainable pace. They can walk, jog, and even take breaks, knowing that time is on their side. The person who starts at the halfway point, however, has no choice but to sprint. They have to exert far more energy, endure more pain, and risk burning out just to have a chance at finishing the race. By starting early, you reduce the pressure on your future self. Saving 10% of your income at 25 is far less painful than discovering you need to save 30% or 40% of your income at 45, okay? A time when your financial obligations, mortgages, tuition, and healthcare are often at their peak. Furthermore, planning early allows you to define what your ideal retirement even looks like. For many, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. It's about having the financial freedom to pursue passions that were sidelined during a busy career. Maybe you want to travel the world, volunteer for a cause you believe in, start a small business, or simply spend quality time with your grandchildren without financial worry. These dreams are the why behind your saving. Defining them early transforms retirement planning from a boring financial chore into an exciting life design project. It provides the motivation to make disciplined choices today in service of a future you are actively and eagerly building. Starting early gives you the runway to calculate the cost of these dreams and create a realistic, achievable roadmap to fund them. It allows you to take on a bit more investment risk when you are young and have time to recover from market downturns, potentially leading to greater long-term rewards. The story of Michael and Sarah isn't just a cautionary tale, it's a blueprint. It reveals a fundamental truth about wealth creation. Our most powerful tool isn't a high salary or a lucky stock pick. It's time. The decisions we make in the first decade of our career have a more profound impact on our financial destiny than almost any decision we make thereafter. By understanding this, by embracing the simple act of paying your future self first, you are not deferring life. You are designing a better one. You are ensuring that the final chapters of your story are not defined by financial constraint and regret, but by freedom, opportunity, and peace of mind. So the next time you receive a paycheck, think about that small seed, the one you can plant today. It may not look like much now, but decades from now, it could be the shade tree under which you enjoy the longest and most well-deserved vacation of your life. The question is not whether you can afford to start saving for retirement now. The real question is, can you afford not to?